Oh my God. What is going on with my hair? Why didn't you
I-
tell me? Ooh.
Hey, we're live.
This is 9021.
We don't know. Sorry.
Obviously, we don't know today.
It's been a week.
It has been a week.
It's been a week.
I actually got sick.
Friday hair don't care. You got
Yeah.
sick?
I did. Yeah, I got a head cold. It happens every time I start to like work out. Apparently it's like the endorphin spike or something. And
Are you allergic to it?
working out,
Yeah.
probably. That would be just my luck.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we haven't been as consistent with the podcast.
Mm-mm.
It's just so there's some family stuff that came up. And also I started a new job. And
lots of stuff
I'm
going
working like Pacific time at the moment, so that kind of F's up Wednesdays, at least for right now. So we decided to do it on a Friday because fuck it, it's Friday.
It is Friday. We're gonna hang out on Fridays anyway.
Yeah, so we might move this completely to Fridays. I think that might probably work, actually. Makes sense. I mean, we already probably are gonna hang out and drink anyway.
Chances are good.
So cheers.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. I'm Zach.
I'm Shonda. And if you haven't been here before, we do a podcast about 90210 every week. I watch the episode for the first time. Zach has been a lifelong fan, and we give our input.
Yeah. We even take like notes and stuff.
Zach takes notes. I wing it.
She usually does it on her phone, but she's winging it right now. But that's okay, because this one is a good episode.
It is a good episode.
Episode 8, Perfect Mom.
I felt, it was very relatable, I feel. I felt like I was able to get into it, yeah. I mean, not in the way that you would think, but...
I was like, we need to find more about your mom here. What's going on?
Not really in the way that you would think, but...
Excuse me. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned this a while back, that I noticed the crazy punk rock music as they were going into school.
Third time that they have done this.
So it's weird because you have the intro to the show.
Wait, that's kind of Mario Brothers.
I mean, a little bit. Yeah. I wonder if we could play the intro and not get in trouble.
Probably not.
Yeah, you're probably right. They demonetize us because we're making so much.
Obviously.
The tens of you out there. So, but yeah, so I noticed that. So it's weird. You have the intro music, the regular intro, and then there is this punk rock weird, I don't even know what to call it, music, like 90s rock music playing as they're going into school. It seems to always be when they're heading into school.
And I think that we've talked about this before, but you know what it kind of reminds me of is the movie Euro Trip and that band at the beginning.
Yeah.
Scotty doesn't know that
It does.
Yeah. It's totally that.
Isn't the guy from that, and isn't that like the singer of that fake band in the movie a real band? Aren't they a real
band? The singer from that is Matt Damon.
Oh, you're right. It is Matt Damon. But somebody in that might.
So unless Matt Damon has a band, I don't know.
Damon. Yeah. So anyway, there's a mother and daughter fashion show happening. Andrea asks who wants to write the story.
And Brandon says, well, why don't you do it? Because I think he's getting kind of sick of just, what did you just say? Did you say Andrea?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I hope I said Andrea because I give you shit every time.
Andrea tells him basically what he's going to do every single week. And I think he's just getting sick of her shit. And you know what? He's like...
It appears to be that way just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Because he is. He's like, I don't know. How about you do it?
Yeah.
Why don't you get out of your comfort zone since you like to tell everybody else their business?
Yeah.
I'm going to put you in it. And she like makes him step outside.
Yeah. And
she's like, you want to step into my office?
You want to come into my office? And then they step out in the hallway.
Which I thought was actually kind of funny.
I know that it is. They do tie in little bits of comedy here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny show. So they did that. And I think, I don't think at that point she agreed to do it yet.
No, she kind of put up some guff, and
Yeah.
I think she was telling Brandon because she was coming up with excuses like, well, my mom can't come because she's living out of the district, which she's not supposed to be in order
Right.
to go to Beverly Hills. So obviously she can't invite her mom. And Brandon's like, oh, I forgot about that part.
Well, Brandon also says you could take my mom.
Right.
And then she's like, I already lie about being in the district. I don't want to lie about who my mom is.
Right.
And so like yeah. So like she's like, no, there's no way I want to do it. David with the damn video camera.
God, why is he so obnoxious?
Because he's a dorky freshman, sort of.
And he does a really good job at that.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like he's starting to like sneak his way in there a little bit. Like people
A little.
like-
At least they
like,
know who he is now.
this group of like popular senior or juniors, I think they are, get to know him.
You know who we did not see this episode?
Dylan.
Or
Steve?
we didn't.
Steve was not in it, was he?
He was
Dylan.
not there at
This
all.
is a weird thing. So like just characters disappear from episodes.
And then they come back. Yeah, it's
And then
very,
they're just
what?
like
Apparently they didn't have like a storyline or
Like-
there was
like-
a lot. There was a lot of storyline, and to get into like Steve and I think that maybe it was too much.
Dylan at the fashion show?
I don't think so.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember him being in it. It's weird though, but that is a reoccurring theme. Like some people just disappear on episodes. And I also find it funny, and this reoccurs throughout the show, but I found it funny. Like we had the episode with the basketball team.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever show up again. There's like zero interactions with that entire group of people.
Well, now I'm gonna keep my
I think the rest, and I
eyes-
think this happens quite a bit throughout the show, is there's characters come in, there's a big story around them, and then they just disappear off the face of the planet and apparently don't go to the school anymore. Or at least they're not a part of the show. So I thought it was interesting. But yeah, you're right.
I'll have
They're
to keep my eyes
but
open.
but
for-
main characters not showing up in episodes at all. Like even
Yeah.
a little bit.
But
Like,
I think
where is
again,
it?
I think this was a meaty enough episode that
There was a
were-
lot going on.
Yeah.
There was a lot. And it was really focused on Kelly.
A lot on Kelly, which I was pleased about because it kind of gave me a different outlook as to like why Kelly's such a bitch.
Ooh.
You know, she is. She's kind of a bitch.
She can come off a little bit.
Yeah. But she really
snobby.
Opened up. Yeah, she
Little
she
snobby.
opened up.
Yeah.
This
Yeah. This was a good one. We get to get to know her. Okay, so then I thought this was awesome. So they pan to the pool at Kelly's house,
And
and her mom is wearing the frilly fucking bikini thing.
And the other thing that I found interesting, so she's laying there in the sun and she's with her friend and she's going on and on about how happy she is and how everything is so great in her life and she's found this great guy. And her friend is not saying anything.
Yeah, her friend didn't say anything.
No
she just like
response.
sat there, and Jackie's just
And rubbed
blabbing.
lotion on herself or something. I don't even know.
It was super weird.
Sunbathing.
But I was like, Mama Jackie.
Mama Jackie.
That's funny. Inside joke. But Mama Jackie had a very skimpy suit on. I'm feeling like Cindy Walsh would not have worn the same bathing
No.
suit or a bathing suit,
No.
period. Anyway,
And so Kelly and Brenda show up at that point, right? They walk in as they're talking.
Yes.
And Kelly introduces Brenda to her mom.
And her mom's like, come sit over here. You
Yeah,
didn't tell me you had
just
such a
be-
beautiful friend.
Yeah, and Kelly's kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah. And it's very very obvious that Brenda is like, Kelly's mom is awesome. Like she's
Yeah,
like
she's
right
into
from
it.
the get-go.
And I think a lot of that, she wants to fit in so bad.
She's like, yeah.
She
She's got-
wants to just be in that zone.
Mhm.
And she has like, her mom is not that way.
Yeah. So then we pan. Kelly's mom is getting ready for her date, and Kelly is not happy about her outfit.
No.
Not happy about her
No.
outfit.
It
at
was
all.
a little black. I don't know if it was like a black dress, sweet heart shaped. But I don't know if it was a top and matching skirt or if it was like a dress, but it was
Yeah, I don't
very
know.
short both ways.
Both ways. I would have been horrified if my mom was ever wearing something like that.
Absolutely.
I would have been like, what the hell is going on right now? She also doesn't seem to be very happy about her drinking
No.
because because her mom is drinking,
No.
and so you're getting a hint that there's something going on.
Yes. It. Yeah.
And then we have Brenda at home talking about
How great
how
Kelly's mom
great
is.
Kelly's mom is, and then
And yeah, I think you kind of see Cindy like getting a little like annoyed.
yeah, oh yeah,
She's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, I get it. You know, maybe you could like do shit around the house or.
Well, like, and Cindy's like shocked that Jackie doesn't cook.
Mhm.
And she's like, she doesn't cook. They order out, and Cindy's like, what?
Yeah.
She's a mom. She should cook, which I thought was kind of. I mean, that's kind of weird, but I mean, yeah, Cindy's being Cindy, Cindy homemaker.
Yeah. She's trying. She's
Yeah.
trying.
So then Jackie comes home, and
But she doesn't actually come home until the next morning.
yeah, it's like super early in the morning, right?
It's really, yeah. Well, so either she came home really late or she came home super early. I guess it depends on how you look at it. Is the glass half full or half empty?
True. Either way, she's still in the same dress.
Yeah, and she's a mess.
Walk of shame.
Her hair looks a lot like mine, you know. But shorter.
Yeah, she's got the short haircut. She's got the short 90s cut. Yeah. Never been a fan.
Mm-mm.
No.
And her makeup's all over the place.
Oh, it's terrible. And her boyfriend dumped her.
Said, what did he say? Isn't he dating a younger woman or something?
Something like that. Like she's going off, and she seems to be drunk.
That's probably why he actually broke up with her. Not because of the younger woman.
It could be, yeah, because she seems to be a little drunk and out of control. And then she comes home first thing in the morning to make another drink and finds that Kelly dumped out
the alcohol.
Dumped out her booze, and she is not happy about it.
She is not happy.
At all. And I think this is when too, like Kelly kind of makes mentions maybe you should call your sponsor, and that's when we get an idea that
this has been more than just an ongoing issue. This is like a serious problem.
Yeah, and like it seems like she's been sober for a while, and then all of a sudden is kind of not, and Kelly's super worried about it. So that leads me to my first question. Have you ever quit drinking?
Not like, so I kind of started drinking earlier than I should have.
Yeah. When did you start drinking?
I was a senior. I was like, well, actually, it was probably a little bit younger than that.
Yeah.
The first time I ever drank, I was younger than that.
Right.
And it was just this weird, like, I went to go stay with a friend in college, and had like 2 or 3 wine coolers, and was like plastered.
Wine coolers.
Absolutely.
Are wine coolers still a thing?
They are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Never seen them.
But I don't think I have gone long periods of time without drinking. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that I ever necessarily gave it up. However, my entire life I grew up with a recovering alcoholic.
Oh, really?
And so it was a choice in the house that there was no alcohol.
Oh.
There was no alcohol in the house when I was growing up. And I learned at a very young age about the struggles and the boundaries that alcoholics or recovering alcoholics have to set.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel, I still kind of get a little bit awkward, like if I'm drinking and I'm around somebody who's legitimately trying not to drink for reasons like that, you know, it's their choice. I try to be respectful.
Yeah.
Of the fact that is, like, even sometimes on social media, which now that I think about it, so I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, you know, they probably have a heart, but then again, there's drinking and stuff on TV too, and it's just it's you can imagine the struggle that they go through.
Yeah, so I actually quit drinking once for about 9 months. Did AA the whole deal.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I just felt like I had gotten out of control for whatever reason. I think there was a number of things, like my kids, so I had kids young and was an empty nester pretty quick. So I was like, it was before I was 40, I was already an empty nester. and I missed out. I'm not gonna say I missed out, but I didn't get to do a lot of like the partying that you would do when you're like
Mhm.
19, 20, 21. I mean, I kind of did because I was in the army. Still kind of did that stuff, just a different way because I had kids. I had a I would like take care of shit. But when the kids went to college, all of a sudden, I was like, I got no responsibilities but myself. I think I got a little out of control with it, and I think that's when it
Mhm.
happened. And so I actually like did AA, sat at the tables, the whole deal, and just didn't drink for like 9 months.
I did go to, so it wasn't AA, but it was Al-Anon, which is
Yes, that's like
for the families
families.
of people with
Yeah.
alcohol abuse issues or drug abuse issues. And it was not it was not for the reason, my upbringing. It was for a friend of mine.
Oh,
Actually, it was somebody I was dating at the time,
wow.
and it, it was kind of eye opening a little bit. I went
It
to a
was
couple meetings, and
it was really eye opening for me, and it was this one kind of like I'm not gonna say it hit home because I don't believe that I'm an alcoholic. Um,
I do not believe that I am either.
yeah, I think I like to drink,
Mhm.
and I have an addictive personality.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
But
Yep.
I also started drinking at a really young age. I started drinking probably around 15, maybe earlier, and then also threw weed into that mix, and and then went into the army at 18, drank a ton for like 3 straight years, and it was just kind of a habit for me for a long time. So for me, like I think I learned when I was sitting at the tables and listening to people's stories that I probably could have gotten to that point. Glad I had people telling me, hey, you need to get this checked quick. But hearing some of those stories from people, and it's like the people that are truly like if I have one drink, I'm having a bottle
Mhm.
and I just can't stop and end up in a hospital and stuff like that. Like the
Right.
stories that I would
Right.
hear were just like terrible, and it made me respect it a lot more. And so, for me, like I definitely don't drink like I used to.
And I don't either, but I've also done a lot of maturing.
That's part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other part about that I have come to realize about myself is I have an issue with setting boundaries.
Mm,
So, um a lot of I was a very codependent. I have a very codependent personality, so I
mm,
tend to not necessarily encourage other people's bad behavior, but I kind of allow it to keep affecting my life,
mm.
if that makes any sense.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but once I've started, I have learned to set boundaries with myself, and I've learned to set boundaries with other people, and that has had a major effect on not only my mental health, but also, I mean, I consider drinking not only a physical thing, but it's a mental thing
Oh
as
yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
that has had a huge effect on how I can control my
Yeah.
tolerance, or my, what I choose to do. But
Yeah. Yeah. So like my thing would be to anyone listening, if you are struggling and you think you're having
mm,
issues, man,
definitely get help.
get
It's not easy to do on your own.
no, I would highly recommend finding meetings, um,
There are lots of
getting some support.
yeah, and if it is serious enough, there are lots of centers that you can go to
Hmm.
that will help you recover in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I felt I was very fortunate growing up because um, the person that I grew up with, who was an alcoholic, and I learned at a very young age, the thing that they taught me is, once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic,
Right.
and you're always going to be in recovery. That's never not going to be a thing,
Yeah.
because it's a
Yeah.
consistent, like, you're always facing it.
Yeah.
Um, and what I was fortunate with was that they never relapsed. So
That's
I never
awesome.
experienced,
That's awesome.
but it could have been very different for me at an extremely, extremely young age, like right when I was
Yeah.
born. Um, and that's when they chose to quit. And
Yeah.
so it could have very easily been a completely different story for me. But
And relapse is a thing. It happens quite a bit.
very often, yeah.
And it's not a bad. It doesn't mean that the person's a shithead. It just means they relapse. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting. I just thought we would talk about that. I thought it was kind of a cool thing to talk about as we're both drinking responsibly.
Yeah,
I'm not going
right.
anywhere. So yeah. So again, yeah, my next note, Brenda's again, just the Brenda's like level of
I guess it's like her desire to be included, like
to be included, yeah, and she is just like all about Jackie at this point.
And
She's
ever
all about
since-
Kelly's mom.
I
Kelly's
mean-
mom's awesome. This is California, mom. Why can't you be more like California?
She has been like this though ever since they moved here.
Yeah, she's been struggling. Whereas I feel like Brandon doesn't have. He's getting into different issues, but they're just issues where she is like really struggling with feeling like she doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes up because Brandon invites Andrea over for dinner.
And Kelly actually makes a comment, and I think it kind of plays in later, because Kelly's over there, and she's like, so this is what was interesting. There's there's a dynamic here. So Kelly is all about Brenda's mom.
It's Friday.
Kelly is all about Brenda's mom.
Yes.
Kelly is all about Cindy.
Yes.
She's like, I can't, like, you have this home cooked meal. I'm enjoying this time with family. This is such a healthy environment.
Yeah.
And Brenda is like, I want to have a mom that's cool, like Kelly's mom, who lets her do things and lets her dress all fancy and has these nice fashionable clothes.
Well, I think that's like the grass is always greener
on the other side
thought process that
always
a lot of people have. And I think a
It
lot
is.
of people, especially like today, like it's funny that it's happening in this episode because I think today with like social media and stuff, and all you see is everybody's best day.
And
At least most of them.
it has been more common for me lately where I have surrounded myself with people who seem to be authentic and they seem to be honest about how they're feeling. And it's not always like, the thing that I have learned about people is that everybody has something going
Everybody's got
on.
some shit going
There's
on.
something going on. And it's usually something that you don't want to have happen to you. You know what I mean? Like, you just went through a shitty breakup, or, you know, you're going into foreclosure, or you don't have enough money to pay your bills, or, you know, you can't have kids and everybody else like the list goes on and on and on and on. You know, your parents are sick, you don't have any friends, you feel secluded. Everybody has something. And comparison is, what is that quote? Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy. And it has taken me a very long time. I wish I would have learned earlier what that actually meant.
You got to be like, I think that's one of the things I've been trying to be more is present in the moment, present in the journey. Because I look back at where I am now compared to where I was when I was 20, and it's light years away in so many different ways.
I look at myself now compared to where I was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm so different. And so
yeah,
recognizing, like, for me and my mental health, recognizing that I was putting more attention on what other people had as opposed to what I had.
Yes.
Or putting more attention on what I didn't have and what other people had as opposed to what I don't have.
Like looking at like what I want, like this person has it, like why don't I have what they have? Like they seem to have it all figured out.
Right.
And like what you don't realize is a lot of times there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. You know, like you see the person who has all the toys and all, like a nice house and all these things, and you're like, God, I wish I had all of that. What you don't see is that person could be in debt up to their eyeballs.
Right.
And yeah, they got all this cool stuff, but they're trying to figure out how the hell they're going to pay bills every month. And you might not have all that stuff, but you're never worried about it. You're never worried about money because you have everything covered.
Right.
It's you know, you just have to, you know, and this is where this is really coming in, because I think Kelly or Brenda is has looked at Kelly's life quite a bit and thought, man, she's got the perfect life. She has everything. She's got the big house. She has money. Her mom gives her, she has a BMW. She's got credit cards. She can go buy whatever she wants. Like, I wish I had that. And now you're seeing that Kelly's having these interactions with her mom, where her mom is obviously a recovering something.
I don't even think it's recovering at this point.
Well, at this point, it
it
sounds like she's definitely relapsed, or we don't really know how long this has been going on, but it's been going on long enough where Kelly is like, here we go again. You can tell.
And the pattern. She's been through the pattern several times.
Yeah, for sure. So, and at the table, Brenda just keeps talking up Jackie, and then Brandon asks
Cindy if she would take Andrea
with her and Brenda to the thing, and she's like, what fashion show? And then it's like, and then
everybody goes quiet.
Yeah, because now it's obvious that Brenda is embarrassed, maybe, which I think is fairly normal. Like most kids at that age, like, don't think their parents are awesome and cool.
Yeah,
my kids probably did, but not most.
Yeah, they think you're cool now too.
Yeah, they absolutely love that I'm doing this podcast, by the way.
I don't remember. Oh yeah, I don't think that I ever, honestly, I never really hung out with my parents when I was in high school. Like, there were some kids that had that had that great relationship with their parents. That, at least that's what I thought.
From the outside, it looked like.
Yeah, where they were like more friends than parents. And at the time, I kind of wanted that, and now I'm glad that I didn't, because I would have gotten in a lot of trouble, I feel.
Yeah.
A lot more trouble than I already did.
Yeah, for sure.
Eek.
Oh, Brenna makes a comment that she says her mom was more Beverly Hills in Minnesota than she is in Beverly Hills.
She does make that comment.
Which I thought was interesting, because I do feel like Cindy's almost overcompensating a little bit. Like, we've had these kind of just, like, we've kind of noticed this in other episodes where she's like trying to fight the fact that she's in California.
I remember, so this is the stupidest thing to think about, but I remember, so I went to New York City. It was the first and only time. And I was 18. I was 18 years old, I think. Flew out there, and I had these boots because back then it was like the super cool thing. And they were high-heeled, almost like a suede, and they came up past my knee. And
I had them too.
Yeah. And like the buckle, but it wasn't like the cool ones that they have now. It was like the more early 2000s-ish look. Anyway, I wore them to New York, and I remember somebody specifically saying on the street, you're very metropolitan of you. And I was like, oh, really? Because like, these were not, I mean, where I come from,
right.
They actually weren't that cool, but I liked them.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, this is not how we look when I go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, because it's like, it's almost like Cindy is a little bit trying to not fit in. Like, she doesn't want to succumb to the California lifestyle.
Because I don't think she enjoys the people, or I don't think she enjoys their way of life.
Yeah, and I don't think she thinks it's a good way to be.
No.
So you can see, like, she's fighting it. Brenda's trying to embrace it as much as possible. So that's where this kind of like clashes a little bit.
Right.
And so she's obviously hurt because
Brenda
didn't invite her.
Like, what the hell, Brenda?
I kind of get that. And then she says, well, I would love to go with you, Andrea.
And Andrea's like, okay.
And it's awkward. So then we pan to, Kelly comes home, finds Jackie passed out.
She does.
Yeah.
And I think part of what this whole thing is too, being a codependent. So, and I was thinking about this a lot this morning. One of the things that is the hardest with setting boundaries with people, or one of the hardest boundaries to set, is with your parents. Because if you have enough toxic people in your life, usually, if it's somebody being consistently toxic, you cut them out. You're like, I can't be around you
Yeah, you're like,
anymore.
This
I've
isn't
tried to
working
set
anymore.
boundaries and it's not going well.
Yeah,
You can't really do that so easily with a parent.
especially when you're like 16.
Right.
Like, where are you
Right.
gonna go? Like,
Right. I mean, as you get older,
and
I
that
think
kind of comes up later.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, just you're still kind of in that realm of you're kind of stuck, unfortunately. And then Jackie's doing coke.
Yeah, because she needs to wake up.
She's like, I want to wake up. So she's like right in front of Kelly doing a rail of coke, like, woo, let's do this. And I was like, wow, okay, this progressed.
Way to put that on. What was it? Was it cable? Was it cable television back then?
Yeah, it was just regular old cable when there was only a few channel type things.
I mean,
But yeah, so she's doing coke, which I remember as a kid because like coke is, that was like, like I drank and smoked weed, but it was like coke. Oh shit! I remember seeing that, going, oh my god, it's crazy.
Oh Lord.
And then we end up at the fashion show.
Yeah, it was very. First of all, the amount of people that are there, and secondly, there's actually, and I don't know if you have this in your notes or not, but there's a whole scene with Brandon and his dad.
Oh God, yes.
And Jim's
I don't think
like,
I have it in my notes, but the two of them are hilarious.
Yeah, Jim's like, there's a lot of women here. And Brandon's like, good looking, or Brandon's like, there's a lot of women here. And Jim's like, good looking women. Then one walks by and they're like, we need to get out of here because we're going to get ourselves in trouble.
I thought it was funny. Jim's like, woo, he's like checking out the eye candy around there and stuff. It was so fun. Oh my God, it was kind of funny. But Jackie and Kelly are super late. Everybody's wondering where she is because she's the one running. She's the one running the
she's the chairperson.
Yeah, she's like the head person of the show. Like they can't start without her being there. And then
what is this?
And then Cindy goes into the bathroom and catches her doing coke
again
in the bathroom. So second time now
she doesn't know that it's Kelly's mom.
She doesn't know this. Yeah, she doesn't know.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh.
And she's like, and walks out, and then they meet, and she's like, oh God, and it's awkward.
Yeah, it is very awkward.
I feel like it would be rather awkward if you met one of your friend's kids.
And Kelly's mom too. And I can't remember the specific comment, but she kind of rushed out of there. And Brenda says, well, she just must be really busy. And Cindy doesn't have the heart to tell her, no, honey, she's just a cokehead and she was in the bathroom.
Yeah. Busy.
Yeah, busy.
She's busy. So then the show starts and Kelly's mom, Jackie, she is emceeing the whole thing.
She gets really out of hand and awkward.
She is
embarrassed.
Way out of hand. Super embarrassed. And like she gets into the whole, she's like reintroducing people over again. She's yelling at people. She's
talking about her exes and her love life, and it's so bizarre. Not anything that you want to do in public.
No, and it's fairly obvious that she is wasted.
Yeah, she is not sober.
And Kelly is obviously mortified. Will you stop? Kelly is mortified, and she storms off crying. And then they go back to the Walsh house, and there's Kelly and Cindy and Brenda and Andrea hanging out, and
Cindy's being very supportive.
She's being a good mom. Yeah. And Andrea tells Kelly that she's the strongest person that she knows.
And there's a little moment. There's a little bondy moment.
There is a little moment. And then because Kelly then tells Andrea that she's like very pretty.
Yeah, which she was. She was very pretty because she got all dolled up. She was. Yeah. That was at the fashion show. Brandon actually makes a comment. And for a second, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right. He kind of does. Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of like, wow, Andrea, like.
La-ti-da.
Well.
Yeah. So
well, look at here.
So me not knowing, I guess we'll find out maybe
here
in the next couple episodes or something.
So then Jackie shows up at the Walsh house, kind of acting like nothing happened.
Kind of, or trying to.
Or at least like trying to.
And I think that's like the mechanism because that's what has worked before for her. It's just they've always swept it under the rug. They've never addressed it. And that's what codependents do, right? Is that they don't make the person who's doing the wrongdoing. Like they don't hold them accountable for anything. And
Yeah. And like Kelly obviously doesn't want to talk to her. She does. Cindy kind of makes her talk to her.
right.
And Kelly wants her to go back to rehab. She's like, you need to go back to rehab because I know where this is going. So she kind of like hints at the fact that this has been a problem in the past multiple times,
Yeah.
probably. So this isn't like this is the first time or maybe the second time. It sounds like this has been an ongoing issue. And Jackie's like not very receptive.
No. And honestly, that is a very common reaction with people who have an addiction
Yeah.
issue. If you confront it and you push that, they bite back.
Yeah. And
It's common.
And this is where we were saying, like, for a 16-year-old kid, she's like, well, I'm not coming home. And Jackie's like, you can stay here for dinner, but you will be home tonight. And she's kind of like stuck. Like, what is she going to do at that point? So she's in a tough spot. Luckily, when she does go home, at first they portray it because she can't find her mom. And so we're like, oh crap, what are we about to walk into? But she comes home and finds Jackie packing her bags, and she says she's going to Timber Ridge Rehab, which I was like, good for you. So it did sink in.
It did.
But at the time when she's being confronted about it, like you said, that's kind of the thing.
Very reactive. Reactive and not acceptive.
I've got this
under... Not acceptive. I don't even think that's a word. It's not even a word. Is that a word?
Not accepted? Acceptive? I don't think acceptive.
Receptive.
Receptive. Acceptive. I don't think is a word. That's okay. But yeah, so it was kind of cool to see that she is going to go to rehab and
get help.
But you get to see, this is like you were saying earlier, we got to see a different side of Kelly.
Did they ever address in this episode, like, what is Kelly actually going to do?
While her mom's gone?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Does she just live in the house? Does she just pay the bills and live in the house? Or
I think I remember what happens, but I could completely be wrong. And
so but they don't address it in this episode.
They did not. Yeah, I kind of was waiting for that to come up, and it didn't come up. And I'm trying to remember because it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I know me at 16, and if my parent was away for that long,
it would have been party time.
Yeah. But Kelly also growing up in that environment might not actually be as
yeah, maybe not. She may be like, this would be a welcomed
reprieve,
like quiet time.
A quiet reprieve.
Yeah. So then the next morning, Brenda and Brandon have a good little heart to heart. Brandon wakes up with amazing hair, by the way. Like just got like up out of bed, picks his head up, looks, and it's just amazing. Ta-da. I always wanted to have hair like that.
Must be nice, Brandon.
We talked about this, I think, in the last episode. God, I wish I had hair like that when I was
very in high school. James Dean.
I never had cool hair.
I've got this.
Yeah, you got cool hair going on. Friday hair, don't care.
I honestly don't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I think Brenda is now realizing how awesome her mom actually is.
Yeah. So this was something I was actually going to mention earlier.
Okay.
And so, like, for me and my mental health and, relating to the fact that when, you always think that the grass is greener on the other side. For me, what has helped, and I think you and I have actually had this conversation, is when I find something that I can be grateful for in my life. So I wake up every morning or before I go to bed every night, one of the two, and I make a list of today I'm grateful for this and this and this. And if you start off with the simplest things, like I was able to get gas in my car today, or I woke up in bed, not on the floor, or like whatever, as you continue to do it, the list gets a little bit more in depth, and you get into practice and you start to see that you actually have. So if you try to do things every day that are different than the day before, like so I need to think of something else to be grateful for. And I think this is Brenda's grateful list moment. Like I'm actually pretty thankful that my mom's not batshit crazy here. you know, my mom doesn't have a
Yeah.
drinking problem, or
Yeah, I think she just sees like I think the lesson kind of started to hit home a little bit with her of that the grass might not always be greener.
No.
So like what you're seeing, and we've talked about this a few times with Brandon and the book Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover type
exactly.
thing. And it's you know, she's starting to realize that maybe her you know, kind of boring mom who is always there, is always dependable, cooks food, we have meals together. Like she's starting to realize that maybe that's a good thing to hold on to, and be grateful for, because it could be you have the cool mom, that you have the cool mom who is in rehab.
Yeah. Or, you know, all of a sudden your mom is gone for 6 months to rehab and you have to figure out how to feed yourself.
Right.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
And I thought a really cool spot. Neighbors are here.
Came here to drink beer and bang chicks. I'm almost out of beer.
That's scary.
So.
What the hell are you doing here with my wife?
Anyway, as we're finishing up.
The neighbors. So David shows up to Kelly's house with
Brings a videotape.
with the videotape of the fashion show and gives it to her and says, I figured, get up here. And says, it figures you would want this so it didn't get out.
Right.
Which was a cool thing to do for him.
Right. Right. And I think that really showed his affection for her too. And she was like, okay, he's not just
Yeah.
this geeky, like, annoying kid.
Yeah. And she actually kisses him on the cheek, and then he like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
And he freaked
Freaks
out.
out.
Freaked out a little bit.
Freaks out.
And
And then that's it.
And then the episode ended. That was the end of it.
Game over.
Yeah. So I think it was a good one. It was an interesting one. We got to know Kelly a little bit more and her home life.
We did.
We're kind of seeing this as a theme. Like Steve doesn't seem to have the greatest home life. Kelly doesn't seem to have the greatest.
home life. Brenda and Brandon seem to have it pretty good.
They have it pretty good,
But
even though there's
I guess that's what main characters do also.
yeah.
Even though
So-
they are kind of pains in the butt sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good one.
And look at that. We are at like
Dude, we're
40 minutes.
40 minutes. I don't think we've ever hit an episode.
No, we
of
haven't.
That
And we touched on some really deep stuff.
we did. We jumped around
Look
a little
at
bit.
us. And
Yes.
oh man.
He's
Okay.
like, did not-
Rex did not
doesn't
like
like
that.
the high five.
No, he did not.
But yeah, so that was season 1, episode 8. That was season 8. We jumped. No, season 1, episode 8. A little recap there, and we're gonna hit episode 9
next week.
Next Friday.
Next Friday,
I
probably.
think next
yeah.
Friday. So, all right, guys. See ya.